I'm Peter Anderton, and I help directors get their team energised and at their best. What do your team look like when they're energised and at their best? And more to the point, what are you doing to get them there and to keep them there? Gallup have been researching the whole idea of employee engagement for decades, and they've concluded that the single biggest factor of a consistently high-performing team, let me repeat that, the single biggest factor of a consistently high-performing team is the answer to a single question. And that question? At work, do I get the opportunity to do what I do best every day? Just think about what that means for a moment. To what extent have you got people in your team doing stuff that just doesn't energise them? Stuff that just doesn't play to their strengths? Stuff where they're performing in a half-hearted manner, just trying to get through the day and get the work done and out? So often we find ourselves getting bogged down in activities and tasks that don't energise us and don't bring out the best in our own abilities and in our own skills. When Gallup worked on this in the UK, they discovered that only 17% of respondents answered yes to that question. That's an absolutely terrifying statistic, 17. Just imagine what it would be like in your team if it wasn't 17, but 34%. That's double the average. Or why would you stop there? Why couldn't it be 60% or 70%? You know, I get that it might never be 100%. There's always going to be an element in our roles, things that we don't enjoy, things that don't engage us. But if we could just get to the point that we spent our times as directors spotting the strengths that are in our team and getting people to put them to use, we could have an absolutely transformative effect on the team. Oh, and remember, a true strength isn't just what you're good at. It has to be what energises you as well. Do you know, the things that I'm good at that don't energise me, that's what I call a learned behaviour. There are things that I'm really not very good at, but I love doing, and that's called a hobby. The true sweet spot with a strength is where you love doing it and you are fabulous at it. So find out what the strengths are in your team. Work out the extent to which they're using them on a day-to-day basis and see what you can do to help them rearrange their work in order to use their strengths. Now let me just check on something here, because some of you might be thinking, well, that's all a bit naive, Peter. Yeah, at the end of the day, the job is the job. Well, that's true up to a point. You know, if I feel that my ambition is to be, an actor, then at the end of the day, there's only so far I can go with this in the corporate world. But if I have certain abilities, if I enjoy presenting, if I enjoy getting points across to different people, then there's a role for that within the corporate environment. So the question to think about here is, what are my strengths and what are the key outcomes that are required for my role? Because for most of us, the way we're doing the role that we're in is a combination of the way the three people before us did the role. And the trick here is to stop, to reset, look at the outcomes that are required for the role, and then look at the strengths that you actually then bring to the role. And you can do this with every member of your team. Because those people that you come across that are in their perfect job, where you almost hate them for the role that they're actually in, they never walked into the perfect job. They've rewritten their job description under their boss's nose, and their boss loves them for it. And you can be doing that with your team. Oh, and by the way, this isn't developing them. This isn't actually giving them a new skill or sending them on a training course. This is just using what they already have. Remember that 17% figure? It's a shocking statistic. So think about what you can do to help people in your team spot their strengths, and most particularly to actually put them to work. Because that's when the magic really starts to happen. When you've got people in their roles who are playing to their strengths, actually they are delivering fabulous results and they are totally engaged. If there's one thing you could do to take performance and engagement right up through the roof, it would be to focus on this particular area. And when you do this, you create superheroes. Which brings us right the way back to rule number one. Remember we said rule number one for leadership is it's not about you. It's not about you being the superhero. That's not your job at all. Your job is to create superheroes. And this is an incredibly simple and an incredibly powerful way to do that. And you can put it to practice with immediate effect. Absolutely transformational stuff. Oh, and did I mention it's completely free? I hope that was useful.